Since 2003, this is the Sports Source, East Tennessee's #1 sports talk show.
Brought to you by Junk Be Gone and the Garza Law Firm.
With your host, John Pennington. The Sports Source starts now.
Good Sunday morning. Happy Independence Day to you, 4th of July. Appreciate you joining us on this beautiful summer morning to talk sports with us. We got a big show today. We're talking football, the name, image, likeness thing, which has just kind of gone nuts this week. We'll talk about that. And then back after the show, we got a special guest here with us, and we're going to talk a little baseball. We'll actually talk a lot of baseball. So we got a packed house. Let's start this thing. First segment of our program brought to you by our friends at Garza Law Firm. When it comes to legal representation, you want local representation. A team that's from here, knows the ins and outs here, knows the court system and the people here. That's the Garza Law Firm. Lots of advertisements out there right now, and if you do your research, you'll find these guys are in Memphis, and Nashville, and Chattanooga, and Birmingham, but they're not here. The Garza Law Firm is from here. Give them a shout this week if you need legal representation. Just check out their website, learn more about them. You never know when you might need legal representation. The Garza Law Firm. All right, let's welcome in our first wave of panelists here today. From WNML AM and FM, we have Vince Ferrara. Vince, thanks for being back with us.
Great to be here, Tom.
Right there from theathletic.com, we have David Ubben. David, thank you.
Thank you.
And next to you from GoVols247.com, Ryan Callahan. Ryan, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate all you guys coming in here on the 4th of July. I'm not taking that for granted that you all are spending your part of your holiday with me and our wonderful viewers. So our sponsors, thank you. The college sports world changed forever this week, and that's not an understatement, with the kickoff of the name, image, likeness stuff, for lack of a better word. Players can now get money for their own brand, basically. So we have seen everything from small stuff to big stuff this week. A lot of athletes are now they're now offering their services on Cameo. For those who aren't familiar with that, basically you can pay $20 to this guy and he'll say happy birthday so-and-so in a recording for whoever you want to send the message to. Pay $50 to this other guy and he'll do Joe wants to marry you, Cindy, will you marry him? That kind of stuff. So that's Cameo. Others selling their t-shirts. A couple of the baseball players have t-shirts out already that they're pushing, okay? Then on the other end of the spectrum, you have big groups like Barstool Sports, who are just asking people to come be a part of it. They've freely admitted, we have no idea what we're going to do with this, but just come on, we're going to chime in and start throwing money at these players. Okay? Arby's, these fast food joint, put out an ad for running backs, for RBs, get it, Arby's. They want running backs to represent them somehow. So you're seeing it all over the board. There are a lot of UT athletes who are already doing this. Give me your thoughts. Now, I'm not someone who enjoys chaos. I am, if you walked into my house and you would notice that every painting is perfectly aligned. I'm kind of OCD. I like things to be, watched over. I like guidelines. There are none for this. It is the Wild West. Your opening views on what you've seen so far on the NIL stuff.
Well, go ahead. It's hard to kind of put your arms around and really figure out exactly what's going on, who's doing what, and if you try to do that, you're going to go insane. So I think overall, I like it. I'm okay with it. Are there going to be problems? Absolutely, there will be. But guess what? What we've been doing, there have been problems, and athletes have been left out and felt like they couldn't take advantage of their time in college athletics. And when you have the opportunity to make a little bit extra money, I think one of the things that's maybe not talked about enough is the opportunity to make the college experience a little bit more appealing, rather than, hey, why am I here? I'm going to get out of here as quickly as possible. So there's going to be issues, no doubt, but I do like that overall premise.
I mean, it's a long overdue change. I mean, there's never been any good reason why players were not allowed to do this, other than that an artificial sort of, empowered governing body decided that they couldn't.
Amateurism.
Yeah,
right?
it's insane. It's never made sense. It's not been fair for quite some time, and now it's over, and that is a good thing. all the chaos, blame the NCAA for having to turn on the fire hose, because this thing could have happened slowly over time, over the last 40 years. But when you flip the switch overnight, it's going to be a lot of stuff going in a lot of ways. And the novelty of this stuff has been, it's going to be happening for the first couple months. This should be normal, and it's going to be very quickly. What are the, overarching, how does this look in 5 years and 6 months? We don't really know what the unforeseen circumstances are going to be. But honestly, it was very cool to see, very sweet to see, because it's a little bit more fairness in college sports. Because there's, again, the artificial limits have been insane for a long time, and now they're gone. Good riddance.
It was a feeding frenzy this week, and I think a lot of people are just jumping in, both advertisers who are paying the players and players with no real research done into what will this do for my product. Or, the players are just like, you pay me? Cool. Good. But from businesses, I think I just want in. Okay, I'll be interested to see, does it calm down? Does it just stay willy-nilly moving forward? I think it will become a little bit more targeted down the line. Your analogy with the fire hose is a good one. It's like the dam just opened and everybody's trying to figure out what to do here. Because first of all, each state is different. There is no federal law on this. So the NCAA, because there's no federal law, the NCAA isn't going to touch it because they don't want to be sued in an antitrust suit in any way. So they're just like, do your own thing, people, which makes it more bizarre. And I hate talking about it on the show because there are a lot of people at home who, there are people on this panel, we don't have all the answers. There are a lot of people at home who haven't read as much on it as we have, so I know it's got to be confusing to them. Ryan, your initial response to what you saw this week?
It honestly it was a lot of what I expected to see, which is in a lot of cases it's going to be much ado about nothing in some ways, because you're going to see a lot of players not make a whole lot of money off of this. And I think players going in need to know that, and hopefully a lot of them do. And in a lot of cases, though, Spencer Rattler, we've already seen him with some big money opportunities. The Oklahoma quarterback, you're going to see big name players like that have a chance to make some legitimate money off this. So first few days, I think it's kind of shown us about what I expected in that sense. But like David said, it's kind of what we expected, because you are turning on the fire hose, and the NCAA fought this to the end. Basically, didn't want it to be this way, really. So when it comes down to it, if you aren't liking that this is kind of chaotic at the beginning, it goes back on the NCAA. But everybody's figuring it out. Players, coaches, administrators, everyone's still trying to get their arms around it. We are too. I think there are going to be obviously some inevitable problems. To me, as long as the NCAA can prevent, and they say they can, the way it's been set up, as long as they can prevent the potential for pay-to-play schemes, that's the big thing. If they can't enforce that, this is going to be too wild. But if they can stop that, to me, it's a fine system, and they'll figure it out over time.
I don't see how they stop that.
Why do we want to stop that? If people want to pay you for whatever, and I don't have a problem with that.
Well, so you're for minor league. You're for a minor league sports system, and dump the college stuff altogether. Okay.
I think people want to paint the idea of, well, this money is going to these kids. It's not going to the athletic departments or companies. Great. Why? I don't see why that's a problem. Let's get this money in the hands of these kids.
Well, here's the thing. You're about to expand the playoffs, because people are tired. What they didn't see forthcoming when they started this was you're going to have 3 schools that are entered every year. Yeah. And the college football is now going to be dominated by Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State. Nobody saw that. So now we're going to expand the football playoff because we've got to make it more even. If you just let it go to where, sure, pay the players, let the boosters pay them. Okay, you're right back to Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson owning college football.
Well,
because I don't think the Haslams are going to say, hey, let's go buy a football team and we'll just outbid Alabama on it.
Well, but I don't think the point of expanding the playoff was to – I don't think anybody thought it was going to influence the end result. But the reality is that you're going to get more teams a shot, more teams playing on the biggest stage, and being able to sell the idea that they can do that.
You're getting more revenue.
And the revenue aspect of it. There's a lot of reasons. But I don't think anybody thought
But I think a bigger chunk of it is the fact that you've seen this sport go from everybody has a chance at the title. Now, granted, some schools don't, but you know what I'm saying. Now you don't. Now it's 3-4 teams that are there every year. So I think you're expanding it to try and give more teams an opportunity. Yes, there are other reasons. That's not the only reason, but I think that's the biggest reason. And then when you look at it, if you just say let everybody pay their players, whoever's got the biggest boosters, all right. Fred Smith out at Memphis with FedEx is going to be that's going to be the biggest program in this state because he can put players on the sides of his planes. He can do it,
Well, it depends on what you
ads with
want
FedEx
to
for
do.
all
I mean,
his
it's the same. Like again, though, that's the way college football is already. Just that money is going to the athletic departments. It's not. There's a reason why if you go to Alabama's facility, you go to Texas's facility, it looks very different from other facilities that don't have that much money. That's what. But the money, instead of going to the athletic departments to buy a slide or a $10,000 locker, it's going to a player who can use it for whatever he wants to use it for.
And
That's cool.
there can be creative ways to where it's not necessarily exactly pay for play, to where some players from universities that aren't in that elite can get money. Look at Mercy Miller, Masterpiece son, getting from Tennessee State, getting a $2 million contract to represent a company that supports historically black colleges.
Okay, we got to catch a break. I already see with. I like the idea of players getting paid. I don't like the old West, so I'm going to be the bad guy today. I'm the only guy that sees problems down the line, so that's fine with me. We'll tackle this conversation in the next segment as well. I'm going to throw out another issue that I see coming down the road, and everybody can call me a meanie, but we're going to have a special guest join us next. And if there's anybody that's going to call me a meanie, it's this guy. John Wilkerson on the show next. Come on back on the Sports Source.